You talk to the most successful entrepreneurs, business owners, they always have multiple revenue streams. And one thing I think you have always challenged me about, it's like, just because something got you one place doesn't mean it's going to get you somewhere else.
An ecosystem is what I've always aspired to build.
Where does this play into all this? Andrew is now a restaurateur, and some of our favorite restaurants around the city he owns. How did this all come about? Where does that fall in sort of the pyramid that we kind of just talked about?
I think relationships would be the first answer.
Okay.
Never planned to be in it. Probably hardest business to make money in is restaurants.
Well,
and being in real estate, I have a lot of restaurants, so I've seen a lot of them as tenants. So I've seen a lot of them fail.
Yep.
Understand
That's
even
good
good
point.
ones. Just because you go into a busy place doesn't mean that they're making money either. So there's a million ways to lose money.
Your ambition and your vision, unlike the world that we live in, it's very much so tangible and physical. And if you look at the area of West Shore and what you guys have done as a group, you can see there's so much more that can be done.
When you get a lot of density without a lot of infrastructure and transportation, it's not a great place to
It's
live.
a mess.
People get frustrated.
Totally.
And you see a lot of people kind of come out against density. Well, you know where we want density? Because people are moving here. It's not going to stop. To pretend that it's going to, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. All right, I hope everybody's doing well. My name is Saxon Baum, and I'm a partner at Florida Funders. I could not be more excited to have in studio today, really one of the first people I met when I came to Tampa, Andrew Wright.
Glad to be here.
So excited to have you. You know what it was when I moved down here? Tom, my uncle, my co-host, who I haven't seen here recently, because he left us to do the podcast ourselves, but he said, you got to meet this guy. He went to your alma mater. He went to
Ohio.
Miami, Ohio. And that's how it all came about.
Smart people.
It's what it's all about. Hardworking, smart, good looking.
Midwestern values.
Exactly. So how did you end up in Tampa from Columbus originally, right?
Yeah. Grew up in Columbus.
Give me the story.
My parents both worked. And my senior year of high school, my dad was transferred out to California. He worked for UPS, the old kind of worked for a great company for 30 years, have a pension, have a great life, went public, provided for us in a big way. My senior year, he was transferred to California. My junior year, he was transferred to Atlanta. So coming out of college, my family wasn't where I had grown up. And one of the richest people that I had known was a real estate developer. Actually did a lot of work in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
Down the riverfront, Continental Real Estate Company.
Okay.
It wasn't too difficult. The guy bought a $1 million house, tore it down, put up a tennis court, bought another $1 million house, tore it down, put it in a rose garden. Like, what does that person do? Real estate.
I want to do what he
I want to
does.
do that. That sounds like a good thing.
It's funny when you talk to a lot of people. My brother and I always say this. What do the wealthiest people do? Real estate. It always comes back to real estate.
Well, now it's AI and technology.
Yeah, exactly.
That's always,
and real estate, a little bit of both.
Real estate's tried and true, right down the middle.
Exactly.
Keep it going. But
no, I love it.
So my family wasn't where I'd grown up, and one of my best friends, Copeland Moore, is part of the La Segunda family, been here for 100 years, and he, college roommate of mine, Miami, Ohio. And
he was at Miami as well.
He was at Miami with me.
Got it.
And then another one of my good friends got a job down here. It was enough for me to look. Came down October of 2002, job interview. Afterwards, went and played golf, hit a hole in one. And
no way.
I'm here. Fate.
You had a hole in one.
Hole in one.
Was that your first ever hole in one?
It was my first ever. It was number 11 at West Chase Golf Course. For
Unbelievable.
Tampa people, and 150-yard 5-iron. Wasn't a great shot. But
doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
It's all that matters.
Lowest paying job I was offered, but figured I'd come down. Palm Trees, Water, Midwestern kid, check it out, and been here now 23 years.
So that job, how long were you there?
About 5 years.
Okay.
So Marcus Millichap is an investment sale brokerage.
Got it.
And great in commercial real estate. And people buy a house because it's in the right school district, or they like the color, or they like the neighborhood, or whatever it is. People buy commercial real estate to make money, primarily.
Yeah.
And so starting out on the investment side of things, the buying and selling, it was a great place to start my career. Was an assistant for 2 years, brokered for them for about 3 years. It was an interesting time because it was the lowest interest rate environment that had been like the preceding 20 years.
Okay.
Maybe longer.
Yeah.
Of course, that is now the same interest rate environment that we're at today.
But rates are so high.
So low since that time. But at the time, it was a declining rate environment.
Okay.
And people were doing condo conversions, and Got into that game, selling apartment buildings and selling condo conversions, and launched my career and did that for about 3 years before I realized how important company culture was to me, and didn't fit in there real well. And that prompted me to start thinking about doing my own thing.
Something we're going to talk about today, company culture. So Andrew owns the building that Florida Funders is in, and you can tell the people that work for you just want to work there. We'll come back to that because I know it's important to you. Why and when did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? So you're grinding. It's been 5 years. You're selling successfully, probably starting to do well as a young guy. What was that catalyst to say, now is my time, I want to go and do this? Or was there a break in between, or was it straight from Marcus and Millichap to Franklin Street?
It was straight over.
Okay.
I think part of it's in you. Entrepreneurship is kind of in you.
Yeah.
Part of it's ambition. Part of it's a chip on your shoulder, but you're kind of compelled to do more.
Yeah.
So my first business was when I was 13 years old, washing cars. So I had 3 jobs, actually. I carried newspapers for the Columbus Dispatch. I bagged groceries on the weekends, did Little League sports, coaching, but then took all that money and started buying equipment and started a car wash business. So I've always been entrepreneurial, always worked through college and just had my head down. Then you jump into the real estate game. As a salesperson, you're very entrepreneurial just in the nature of it. When it's commission only, yes, you work for somebody, but you really work for yourself. I mean, that's kind of in you. And then after doing that for several years, I think it's youthful exuberance, ignorance. I was doing great, was setting the world on fire, and thought it was all me, and didn't feel appreciated at the company I was at to set the tone for the culture, and started writing a business plan in the middle of the night one night, and launched, did it.
So to get going, did you raise capital? Was it bootstrapped? Did you go by yourself?
Well, one of the things about people businesses is that they're capital light.
Yep.
So really what I had was a book of business already. So as a salesperson, I'd been very successful. I'd sold, almost $1 billion worth of real estate in my first 3 years in the business, which is a lot, particularly when you're 25, 26.
In Tampa, Florida.
In Tampa, Florida, was a lot. And so I had the money I'd made. I also got married and had my first job, bought a house, and then was investing. So invested in the company. One of my largest clients agreed to continue to use our services. So really that didn't take me very much money, maybe 40 grand to launch the business, and then some closings right away. And then we were off and running.
How old were you when you started Franklin Street?
27 years old. So
27 years old.
It was December 6th, 26 years old.
26 years
It was
old.
2 months after my 26th birthday.
Okay.
So I was born 1980. So 2000, September, turned 26, November, got married. December formed Franklin Street, and then 1 year later, December of 2007, had my first child.
Amazing.
So jumped into life.
That's a run right there.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
No,
All right, so let's talk about Franklin Street. Obviously, a lot more to talk about what you're working on today, but what is Franklin Street? How has it evolved from when you started it? What's the business look like today?
Franklin Street is a full service real estate services business. So
Okay.
it services investors of commercial real estate and occupiers of real estate. It encompasses 7 lines of business. So there's the capital markets, which is the debt and equity placements and the investment sales, a realtor for investment property. We have the leasing, which is both agency and tenant rep. So we represent buildings looking for tenants, and we represent tenants looking for buildings.
Got it.
We have our insurance division, which is property and casualty insurance, property and property-related coverages. We like to say that we're real estate people in the insurance business, not insurance people doing real estate. We're not doing health and benefits. We're not selling a lot of other coverages. It's all real estate related. And then we have our project and property management group. So running the day-to-day of it, building out suites, building high rises, kind of the encompassing of the project management elements.
Well, and it's like our building, for example. You own the building, you guys manage the building, and you completely revamp the entire area that, what's that considered? I mean, it's West Shore. Is it
West
Shore
Shore
District?
Yeah, West Shore.
Yeah. Which I know is going to be a really big project that you're working on. The real estate market is something that people always ask about. Hey, is it the right time to buy? Is it the right time to sell? Is it the right time to build? Something you and I have talked about for years. You own all this land, but have been waiting a little bit maybe to start building some of these bigger projects. As of today, November 25, where do we sit in the real estate market? And you can specifically talk about the commercial real estate market. Give us the TLDR from your perspective as a real estate expert. Where are we at right now?
So people like to use the baseball analogy. Where are we? What inning are we in?
What inning are we in?
Right.
Yeah.
We're in a rain delay.
Okay.
Everything has been stagnant. So 2022, interest rates spike at the fastest clip in history. rates up, values down. I don't care if you're talking about VC companies or real estate.
Yep.
You have a loss of impairment of value. And we've been in that for 3 years. Transaction velocity is way low. Liquidity across all markets is extremely low.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, prices have fallen, but not fallen far enough. It's a great time to buy is the simple answer to your question. It's hard to buy. And
You're still looking for that delta to shrink where
right,
the buyer and the seller can meet.
There's so many different things going on.
Yeah.
So you have the devalue of the balance sheet through rising interest rates, loss of value. And that was kind of strike one, and we've been living in that environment. Now rates are stable and coming down, but because we've been frozen for so long, the consumer has eroded. So we don't have as much on the demand side. It's starting to hit the P&L. And so this kind of elongated problem is where we've just been sitting, going back to the rain delay. And what we really need is resolution in the market.
Okay.
And in that resolution in the market, you need the lenders to push it. People don't sell at a loss.
And what do you mean when you say that, the lenders to push it?
People don't sell at a loss because they want to. So if you think about the old environment, they're operating, they're paying in their old debt service, and they're living, and they can make the payment. But now the loan comes due. Now I want to refinance it. I cannot get half the debt that I have in place.
Beforehand,
so I either have to put cash in or I have to sell it.
Got it.
I go to sell it. It's selling at a much lower price. I don't want to sell it. I go back to my lender and say, extend me for a year. I'll put up an interest reserve. I'll do X, Y, and Z. And we've been in a regulatory environment where the regulators have allowed the banks to provide that flexibility. If you have a good sponsor, you have a good guarantor, then extend and work with them. Only recently, meaning in the last several months, has that changed, where it's going to be more math-based. And the regulators are now forcing people to resolve. Basically, you've had 3 years. This isn't a surprise.
Yeah.
If you're impaired and you haven't done anything about it, you've been taking the grand ostrich approach. You've stuck your head in the sand, pretend like it's not there. And so as that translates to the buying side, it's hard to buy because values haven't come down enough. And so you're waiting. As soon as that hits, then things will start to pick up and be a lot of velocity. Now, one of the impacts, if I can't buy and I can't sell, if I'm raising for my next fund, people don't want to put money in the next fund.
They're looking for money
out
back, of
fund.
course. It's the
a fun
same
business.
problem.
It's a fun business.
It's being in the fun business.
Yeah. So so I think it's a good time to be getting in the market. And being in Florida, it's the best market that you could possibly be in.
So that's interesting. Is Florida isolated from a lot of the macroeconomic trending downward that we've seen over the past few years in terms of real estate?
Isolated, but softened.
Okay.
I mean, math is universal.
Yeah, of course.
Right. The devaluing of assets works the same in Iowa as it does in Florida.
Yep.
But we have a little bit more of a bolstering in terms of the economic impact of the population migration. It's not just the sheer numbers, it's the types of people moving here.
You have so much money moving down here.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it takes a while for their orbit. I mean, these people moved down 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
The day you move down, your economic impact isn't felt. But as you matriculate your world here and your customers here, people get exposed and more buildings get built, more schools get built, and the ecosystem matures.
And that's just the flywheel
Then it
that
just
keeps
continues
it
to keep it rolling.
Speaking of that, sort of this whole flywheel of revenue streams, right? You talk to the most successful entrepreneurs, business owners, they always have multiple revenue streams. And one thing I think you have always challenged me about, it's like, just because something got you one place doesn't mean it's going to get you somewhere else. And we always talk about it in terms of technology of our own businesses. But talk a little bit about this jump from just Franklin Street to Ally Group and what that looks like now as more of this investment holding company that you started and have been running with.
An ecosystem is what I've always aspired to build. A lot of people, they build something, and it's a great model. So as I get into it, it's not a bad thing. But they build something, and then they turn around and they sell it, and then they have to figure out what to do with their money. So they build something, and then they sell it, and then they give it to a money manager, and they invest it in a bunch of things that's not personal to them, and they do phenomenally well. I have more of an approach where I try to have strategic alignment for various things that I do. Now, you want to make sure that they can stand on their own. You don't want it to be covering up the sins of a bad business, but to the extent that they can be complementary, not just in terms of the retail use, but the cycle element of it. So specifically, transactions in real estate are fantastic when they're good. You can make $1 million fee, and then you're looking for your next check and your next check and your next check. Insurance is a fantastic business, but they're smaller checks and they got to stack and they're more intensive and they're more service related, then
Yeah.
once I sell you your building, I'm on to the next thing.
Yep.
I'm your insurance agent. You're going to call me all the time.
Residual, lower margin, but residual.
Correct.
Yeah.
And higher multiples. So
Yeah.
when rates fly up and transactions grind to a halt like they have for the last couple of years, a lot of the brokerages, a lot of our competitors in the world, they're all on the ropes, right? They're trying to figure out how to survive another year of depressed revenue, depressed net incomes, losses in most parts. They're certainly not investing into their business. Our insurance business allows us to continue to invest into our business and to grow because we know we have that dependable, durable net income, and we have something that we can to be the backbone of the business. If I were to go sell the insurance business, yes, I'd get a bunch of money, and then I'd be out trying to figure out how to spend it on operating losses. So that allows us to be stable in the downturn, being calm through the storm, and really we're more on an acquisition run right now. We're out buying businesses.
And when you thought about this going into it, this whole sort of philosophy of, I would call it like uncorrelated assets that kind of balance each other out, was that the hypothesis going into that?
It was.
Was it? Okay. So that's how you thought through this.
So right, 2005, we had 3 hurricanes crisscross the state. And that was a big wake up for me because I watched the transaction business grind to a halt. And so you could see how some macro event can literally turn off the spigot in an instant.
We've seen that with COVID. We've seen that with the most recent hurricane.
And there'll be something in the future that will happen,
of course, and
right?
these existential threats.
Yeah, they continue to happen.
Totally.
But I also noticed through that entire time, people bought insurance. You know what people bought during COVID? Insurance.
Yep.
Their lenders require it. It's part of the business. And we're very good at it. I mean, we live in a state where we have a high insurance cost. And so you have to be more... There's a little bit more nuance. It's a little bit more expertise in how to navigate.
There's more of a moat, we like to say, right?
Well,
it's not, you can't just jump into it.
Yeah.
You need to understand it.
Yes. If you're in Iowa and insurance is a tenth of what it is here, it's just not as big of an issue for you. So we specializing in that and creating that durable income stream and having that then leads to more opportunities like any other ecosystem. And so Ally Capital comes in where if you're managing properties and you're building properties and you're helping other people invest in properties and you find investors and you're raising money for other people, it's just another degree of advisory. Rather than you own it yourself, okay, you still don't know anything about it. Now you can hire us to invest with us as part of an extension of it. And they're totally Chinese walled. Doesn't help anyone at Franklin Street to have Ally Capital buy something, and it doesn't help Ally Capital if the entire brokerage community thinks that Franklin Street gets a layup. That's not what they're there for, not to get inside deals, but it's a way to balance the market. So when things are really, really hot and it's not a good time to buy, it's a great fee business.
Yeah.
When things are really, really depressed and things are slow, it's a great time to buy, but maybe not great on the transaction side.
Yep, makes sense.
And so I'm not trying to time everything perfectly.
No, you're
I'm trying
playing
to
the long game and have it balance each other
having
out.
hedges, built-in hedges,
Yep,
where
smart.
you know the inevitabilities are coming, and you try to have transactional balanced with
The
reoccurring
residual.
revenue. And you know what I've learned? That's a pretty good model, no matter what the business is.
Yeah.
A lot of you take the landscape company, really even technology businesses in a lot of ways. But it's great on the installs of new plants, but you're always starting over. But the margins are good. But cutting your grass for $1,000 a month, not as exciting. But overall, over long haul, that is what allows you to continue to get those,
Yep.
and then your valuation pays off too.
Yep, love it. Restaurant business. Where does this play into all of this? Andrew is now a restaurateur, and some of our favorite restaurants around the city he owns. How did this all come about? Where does that fall in sort of the pyramid that we kind of just talked about?
Well, I think relationships would be the first answer.
Okay.
Never planned to be in it. The probably hardest business to make money in is restaurants.
Well, that's what I have on my list. Like people start restaurants because they're bored, they have too much money, or maybe they want to lose money.
I like steak, so I'm going to start a
Yes.
steakhouse, right? Or they want to go in.
They want to be the guy. They want to be talking to everybody.
That's not me at all.
Yeah.
It's complete opposite of that. And being in real estate, I have a lot of restaurants, so I've seen a lot of them as tenants. So I've seen a lot of them fail.
Yep.
Understand
a
even
good
good
point. I
ones,
didn't
just
think
because you go into a busy place doesn't mean that they're making money either. So there's a million ways to lose money, but Jeff Gigante, our principal restaurateur, and I became friends. I built a building right across the street from a couple of his concepts in his old partnership. And we struck up a friendship, and over time, just like I would for anyone, start giving them advice. That's why I say relationships.
Yeah.
I try to talk to a lot of people. It's very important to build rapport because you just never know. We're talking here today, but who knows what the future is 10 years from now.
Totally.
Not that I was doing it for any other reason, just helping a friend.
Yeah.
But one thing led to another, and then his partnership was breaking up, and so he was starting another business, 27-year partnership breaking up, and started to give him more advice about structuring, about money raising, That led to, why don't you just get involved with us fully? And I said, okay, still, I'll just help a little bit more by bringing my people and being a little more involved in the kind of operation. And then once the business was going, I know a lot about organizational development and culture and people, and that just led to me being a full third partner of it. But it's been great, not for the reasons that many people would think, not because I get to go into my places. In fact, it's kind of ruined restaurants for me in a lot of ways.
You're probably so critical every bite that you take.
You're looking at every detail everywhere, the service steps, just how people greet you. We're big into just making people feel comfortable in the restaurant, and just everything that goes into it. But it's been a tremendous experience. We got great people.
You got great people.
Yeah, it's fun.
I always wonder this. Do the owners of the restaurant pay the bill at the end? How does that work?
Yeah.
Like, do you pay when I see you at lunch? Or
Absolutely.
You pay?
Yeah.
I always wonder that.
I'll show you sometime. I think I'm our number one customer.
Well, you're there every day.
Yeah, I'm there every day.
I see you every day there.
And then, when I go to a hockey game, I go to Boulogne.
Yeah, of course.
The good news is I like it. So
yeah, it's good places, right?
It's a good place to go.
You said something right there that's really interesting. Experienced operators. Mm-hmm. Having Jeff and finding him, how much of a leg up was it having an experienced operator going into this restaurant business with him?
I wouldn't have done it without it. I think that's the key. And that's probably so leads to a larger conversation of transitioning from kind of a startup operator doing everything everywhere and controlling every detail, and then realizing you run out of the most precious commodity, which is time. Can't be everywhere. And so in order to amplify execution, you got to start to develop leadership and help them make those advances. And same is true with Jeff. Could be any business for that matter, but you have an experienced operator that knows a lot about the business, has been doing it for a long time. But just because you know how to make a great pasta and some great meatballs doesn't mean you know how to do legal structuring and how to raise money and how
run
to
a
set it up.
P&L even. I mean, to your point, just because it's busy doesn't mean you're making money.
Correct. And so we handle all the financial aspects of it too.
Got it.
But I think that's where partners that are good at the same things aren't great partners. And
you got to surround yourself with people with different skill sets.
Absolutely.
100%.
You have a well-rounded team.
Have to.
And I think that's where and we have another partner, Joe Gugino, who is a very important kind of triumvirate here, because Jeff, career operator, I'm more on the business and real estate side. Joe kind of balances both. His essence, his hospitality, like who he is as a person. Are you okay? Can I help you? Can I get something
He's
for
the
you?
guy that we're talking. He's making sure everything's taken
he's
care
amazing.
of.
And it's a good counterbalance for Jeff to be in the stores.
Yeah.
Just kind of spread the responsibility and to be able to have someone to play it off of. And he has that real estate and business background. He's a lawyer and known all sorts of real estate properties over time. So he and I speak the same language. And it's been a great partnership.
It's awesome. And to see you guys flourish and the success of the restaurants has been great.
More coming.
I was just about to say, what's next? Can you spill a little candy? What do we got?
Yeah, well, we have, I guess leases signed. We have our Forbici in downtown St. Pete under construction.
It's
at the Sundial.
At the Sundial, right? Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yep. So it's taken over the sea salt space. It was just there last week. Walls are going up. It's going to be a beautiful space.
Yeah.
Tremendous added to the St. Pete community.
They
down
need
there.
it too.
Yeah, and
it's going to be killer.
That's probably the one that's the closest. There'll also be a bar, drift bar, in the center courtyard there that's operated by Next Level Brands at the Sundial.
Nice.
We have a signed letter of intent for a property in Sarasota. We have a signed letter of intent for a downtown restaurant on the Riverwalk that will be a modern Mexican concept.
Love it.
And lots of growth plans beyond that. So
let's talk about growth plans. You, in my opinion, are somebody that I've looked up to for so long. Your ambition and your vision, unlike the world that we live in, it's very much so tangible and physical, right? And if you look at the area of West Shore and what you guys have done as a group, you can see there's so much more that can be done. Let's talk about West Shore. I know on record you've talked a lot about this. Your plans, your thoughts of creating that, not just as the business district and the international mall and the airport that it is now, but really to the potential that it can be.
Well, West Shore is the best located submarket in the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah.
And it's if you had a pin, if you're not from the area and you're looking and you just put a pin kind of in the center, you're most likely landing it on West Shore. It's right by the airport. You have multiple bridges. So if you're going to St. Pete, you're going to Clearwater, you're going up to Lutz or Wesley Chapel, you're going to downtown, you're going out to Brandon, Riverview. all of this infrastructure intersects right through the West
Yep.
Shore corridor. And that's important for a variety of reasons, but transportation being most important. When you get a lot of density without a lot of infrastructure and transportation, it's not a great place to
It's
live.
a mess.
People get frustrated.
Totally.
And you see a lot of people kind of come out against density. Well, you know where we want density? Because people are moving here. It's not going to stop. To pretend that it's going to, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
You want to put density in those transportation corridors. Historically, West Shore has been more of a business center. It's,
Yep.
I think by geographic area and square footage of buildings, it's the largest business district in Florida.
Really?
Just because of how widespread
Because
it
it
is.
goes, yeah, that would make sense.
If you had different boundaries in South Florida, obviously you'd find some bigger ones.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is it's, even though it's central, it's sprawled. There's no pedestrian center. There's no really there. You have
the mall.
the malls,
but,
two malls, but
yeah.
West Shore Mall, large area, but it's surrounded by literal and figurative highways. You have 275.
Literally cutting it. Yeah.
Right. And so how do you make it walkable?
Yeah.
It's just kind of impossible, right? Midtown, love the development, love going over there. Some great restaurants, some of my favorite restaurants there. But you got to drive to walk.
Yeah.
It's not permeable. You're driving over, you're parking in the garage, and then you're enjoying the experience there.
Yeah.
What West Shore really needs is a true center,
Yes.
a true heart of West Shore, something that reflects the cultural history of the neighborhoods. Lincoln Gardens, Carver City, very important historical neighborhoods. You have the airport and the commercial areas. You have business travelers. You have work experiences. So there's a lot that needs to be melded together.
Just kind of tightened up, put together.
Yeah. So that's my vision for West Shore is to find a place where we can create that community center that allows for kind of a renaissance or a rebirth of the area. It was the original kind of development district back in the 70s and 80s because downtown was industrial and shipyards. We kind of turned our back to our water.
Yep.
Now there's been such a focus on the
Water
revival,
Street and the walkability, everything over there.
And that we've kind of forgotten that, by the way, this was the original best submarket in the area. And now it takes a lot of heavy lifting to get there. So it takes a group of community partners to come together for the vision that we're working on. And I'm hopeful that we can be a lot more transparent and open about it here in the coming months.
Talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. I know there's a potential for the Rays to move to the site, Hillsborough Community College, right across from Raymond James. What would that do for the area?
It would be a tremendous lift. Sports teams are such an important, unique asset. A lot of times, community at large says, "Oh, look, billionaires and they're they're taking all this money." But the reality is, as a marketing ploy, you could probably tell me every city that an NFL team is.
Yep.
Right? How many other cities could you name in all those states?
It puts cities on a world view.
On a world view.
Totally.
Brings you to a whole nother level.
Yep.
To have multiple of them puts you in a class of your own, even beyond that. And to lose one also hurts. So the fact that we were able to see a successful transition in ownership versus a tremendous win, and Hillsborough County has proven that it can support the sports teams that are here. So you have, great attendance at the Lightning.
Pretty much sold out every game.
And great fan experience. Yep. You've seen the Bucks and their, fantastic performance and what they've done. Super Bowls, bringing Tom Brady, their whole brand. And the Rays have done tremendous amounts without a whole lot of stability.
Yeah.
Don't know where their home's going to be. And then obviously the Hurricanes, and then they're playing in Steinbrenner. So in terms of just broader economic impact, love to have them.
Yeah.
Gets a little bit more tricky when you try to figure out how they stay.
Yeah.
And that's where the previous ownership group had a lot of struggle with that. I think the next ownership group will have the same. The good news is it's a clear deck. The question is, where can you find $1 billion in community investment?
Yep.
And you have the CIT tax in Hillsborough County recently passed on a 15-year rather than a 30-year. You have 2 existing county facilities that are going to require substantial investment. And so there's a lot of hands in the trough. How many sports teams can we invest in at this moment in time when you have a lot of other infrastructure needs and transportation
Well, I mean,
needs?
to your point earlier, there needs to be more transportation. I mean, I think you might know more about this, but something I'm always fascinated because I spend a lot of time in South Florida, I think you know. And I take the Bright Line from West Palm to Miami back and forth. Is the Bright Line coming to Tampa? Is that something that is confirmed?
I think it's coming to the Ybor area. I'm not super involved in the Bright Line
because it's a private company. Right?
It's a private-public partnership,
Okay.
and not. It's great. I don't know. It's going to be great next year.
Yeah, right. I don't think it's like a tomorrow.
I think for Florida thing, you have a long-term vision, and that's what infrastructure takes, and that's important. to connect to West Shore, they did not maintain a right-of-way between I-4 and 275.
Got it. Because I had heard, and once again, you're the guy, not me, but I had heard right where Charlie's Steakhouse was, that they were going to put some sort of transportation center.
Charlie's has been bought by the Department of Transportation, and they're putting a multimodal station.
Got it.
So in the West Shore expansion, there will be a platform that's built to receive rail and many other things. You have these vertical takeoff stations and the kind of Jetsons flying around. You have rapid buses. You have other, just it's designed to be a multimodal center. Like it's listed. But there's no ability to connect a rail at this point from that side. But you could connect the airport to it pretty simply.
Got it. All right, I want to go back to you being an entrepreneur, being a founder. We're all about founders. We're all about investors. That's what we do. Obviously, you guys know as a business. Two things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about technology and I want to talk about people. Let's start with people because you have been able to build, from what I can tell, and this is just third party looking in, some amazing teams. How are you finding all these people? Because I feel like there's always new, young, hungry individuals coming to work for you. How are you finding them? How are you retaining them? And how are you structuring your culture in a way that you're just attracting these types of people?
Well, it's kind of good to transition right from sports to that because I'm in the people business. We don't make a product; we sell services, and you could do your service for anyone. In fact, there are many companies that are around longer that people may be more familiar with that we compete with on a regular basis for clients and talent. And I think the important thing to start with is just authentic connection. People understand and know just intuitively if you're full of it or not.
Yeah.
And if you're genuine in what you're trying to accomplish and why you're trying to accomplish it. And I think for me, I learned that growing up. I'm half Colombian, so it kind of starts with your family background. Always had people around me, always helping each other.
I didn't know you were half Colombian.
Yeah, on my mom's side, yeah.
Wow, never knew that.
Yep, no, it was a huge part of my life.
Known you a greater part of a decade. Never known that.
It's a huge part of my
awesome.
life and upbringing and who I am as a person.
Yeah,
but
love that.
Kind of starts with that familial kind of mindset. And then, I think when you're young and you're trying to really make money, you're trying to get to a certain spot, you're maybe more focused on that element. And that's important, by the way. We're not a social club. I mean,
This isn't a philanthropy. This isn't a charity. No.
People come because they want to accomplish and they want to be ambitious. And so I think that's where kind of the rubber meets the road. Like they understand that it's authentic, that I want to help you and we want to work together. And then that I'm also not messing around, that I'm deathly serious about accomplishing. And great things don't happen just by happenstance. I mean, It takes a lot of people working really hard together and overcoming lots of obstacles. It also is not going to be seamless and solid ground the whole time. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of negative attributes and stress and worry that goes into it. And am I going to make it along the way? But when you get to a point of clarity where you're like, look, what do I want in life and what's important to me? It takes the sting away of some of the ups and downs, and you're able to just be more focused. And then when you're more focused, you can start to help others be more focused, right? Right now, that was a great example. We were talking about rates being up and transaction volume being down. That also means all my people are making a lot less money, and they're stressed about it.
Yeah.
But let them know that it's not going to stay this way. And
you've been through this. We've seen this. It's a market.
And the company's here to support you and bring it back. And then another important part is then starting to empower that culture.
Yep.
As a founder, in the beginning, you always are the one seeding it. And you're there in everyone's face and talking to them about it all the time, the good and the bad of it. But as things grow, it's impossible for you to be everywhere. And truly, that's not, the culture isn't what I say. It's how people treat each other when you're not.
It's this organic thing that grows. It was your idea, it was your baby, but it grows.
And just because it was doesn't mean it will be. Things change and evolve. And there's a lot of reoccurring themes that you see over time. But I think using that experience of where friction comes, having an authentic connection with the people, that they're not just a number and a transaction for me from what have we done lately, but then also demanding the best from them. I'm beginning to use sports because I think that's the classroom of life.
Yeah.
That's where you don't learn how to overcome, how to persevere, I could hate you, but we cross the lines and we got to win the game together.
Totally.
There's a bonding that comes from that. Those are things that really set up well for work. Because people come with different experiences. They come with different expectations.
Yep.
They come with different views of themselves, frankly.
Totally.
And I'll get to how I find them. But ultimately, they want the same thing.
Yeah.
They want to have a productive life. They want to be proud of what they do. They want to be good to their communities. They want to be driven. And then most importantly, they're willing to do what it takes to do it. A lot of people want the first part, but they don't have that second part.
Well, and if you don't have the second part, you're never going to get the first part.
Correct.
It's like,
but also, if you don't have the first part, you're not going to get the second. I also see a lot of people who are really strong work ethics, wants to come in all the time. but are selfish, self-centric, transactional,
Yeah, totally.
and not team-oriented. And you don't want to be either of those people.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of, you don't want to be the person that everyone likes but doesn't know anything. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The person that knows everything but that can't talk to anyone, they're not going anywhere.
No, it's
you
gotta
really
be
got to
that
strike
balance.
a balance of intellect and emotional intelligence.
Do you feel, so I listen to the Founders Pod a lot, and there's a pod, How Jensen Works, and it's talking about Jensen Huang, CEO and founder of NVIDIA, and how he is known as Professor Jensen inside of the organization. Do you feel like you teach your employees a lot? Like, is that a big part of your culture? Because on the other side of the coin, Elon is the exact opposite. He's not a teacher. He's a grind you out, going to make you do as much work as possible, and you're going to be great, but he's not going to teach you. Where do you kind of see yourself on that scale?
I'd like to say I'm right in the middle
Okay.
of those things.
Yeah.
So grinding you out is, to me, expectation setting of what it takes to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not willing to grind, then you're not going to, it's what I was saying before, you want to be both things. But on the flip side of things, people need mentorship. And it's, in the beginning, when you're starting out, it's what, in my world, it's what a cap rate is, or what a triple net lease is, or
It's like
what a statement of
tactical
values
things.
means.
It's education.
But that's not what people need.
No.
You can watch a video on that today.
For sure. Go
It's
on
really the
YouTube.
softer things, understanding the mental game, right? The you versus you type stuff where life is hard, and it's not just work related. It's also personal
Family
related.
shit hits
And so
you,
just
man. Yeah.
understanding that people are going through the same thing that you're going through somehow just makes you feel better.
Totally.
Right? I'm not the first person to have
To
gone
ever have
through
to do
this.
this.
And
Yeah.
and I've gone through multiple times in my life, yet the second or third time I still feel like it's the first time. Right? So sometimes you just need that kind of counterbalance to be able to talk through people. So that's where I've evolved in my transition of kind of going from operator day to day to try to be more strategic, and as rather than I used to have big meetings with everybody, and that way everyone hears the same things. We're not wasting time because I met with you, and there's information sharing, and then I never met with them one-on-one. And what that creates is a lack of interpersonal connection.
Mm-hmm.
And interpersonal connection and trust is the foundation, to me, of my success. People that I work with me, they know that I'll do anything for them, but I demand the most out of them.
For sure. But that's the only way that you can demand the most out of them, is because they trust you.
Going back to the sports analogy,
Exactly.
if you had a coach that's just yelling at you,
You say, fuck you.
but you don't really have trust built with them,
Yeah.
and then you just take it negatively, and you're gonna. But if they have trust, it's for the best, and they're riding you real hard, you want to perform for them.
Always.
You want to push, right? It's same words, just it's the emotional connection
100%.
between them. And so mentorship. Now I have almost no large group meetings in Franklin's. Right?
And that, yeah.
I run my new businesses like I used to run that, and I run that in a totally different way. I meet with all the senior leadership one-on-one and talk to them about a lot more than the technical stuff. My chief platform officer, I know we're going to talk about technology in a second, and we're deep into tech in a number of ways. He doesn't need me to talk to him about, whatever I was going to say C++, but he started making fun of me for that.
Exactly.
Like, idiot, get on it.
What is this, 1985?
Yeah, right. But he doesn't. That's not what he needs from me. But how to manage people, how to progress from being the all-star in what he does to a manager, to a leader, to just a father, even things that he's dealing with. It's a totally different dynamic. And so I like to think I'm more of on the professor side for the high level mentorship, life, strategic direction. And on the new side, I'm more of the grinder, and you're going to prove it out to start.
Do you, because you're very successful, you're intense, you're one of the nicest guys I know, but you are intense. Are there ever any points where you're like, get out of my way, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it my way, because me just showing you isn't working, and I got to get this shit done? Does that still happen? It does.
The short answer is yes. I'm trying to not run things that way.
Yeah. Okay.
And because what you learn is that it's almost, because it works. That's part of it. But if I get in and do it for you because it's going to be my way, then what do I teach you?
Yeah, it's like the old analogy: teach you how to fish.
And so, yes, I do the micro project better, but I lose the broader goal of trying to develop the team and move it forward. Now, there just inevitably are some things where, if you're watching someone about to crash into the wall, you're just like, I got to stop you. And there are sometimes certain things where kind of left hand doesn't talk to right hand.
Yeah.
And ultimately it's up to me, and you got to assert that authority.
Yeah.
But I never like to, and I never want to, and I try to do it less and less and less and less.
Got it.
Because the goal, particularly if I had a product, I might feel different. because
That's a different story.
totally different
You're in the
thing.
people business.
And so my business is developing those people to be great leaders, to be great teams. For me to succeed, I need them to succeed, and they need their people to succeed. I got a lot of people in a lot of places. There's too many details for me to be on top of them all.
You would never be able, and I talk about this all the time, if you're worried about every single detail, you're never going to get the big picture. You have to be worried about individual things, of course. But if you're too in the weeds and you don't trust your people, you're going to get overwhelmed. And then you're just going.
You got to be able to dial it up and dial it down.
Totally.
You got to be able to understand the issue, get all the way to the point. Where I get drawn in is ask me if I have an opinion, and I do.
Yeah.
And so I'm talking with someone on a mentorship level. I start to get, I ask a question. Oh, that's interesting. Well, what about that? What about that? And then I find myself going down the rabbit hole, and I go, I've done enough.
Yeah.
I've done enough.
You can make it happen.
I shouldn't have even gotten in that level of detail, but I can't help myself. But I think that's important, because if you don't know the specifics, it's another like on entrepreneurs. There's two different types in my mind on this polarity. You have the types that are, if there's money in the bank, we must be doing good. And then on the other spectrum, you have the spreadsheet says. And you don't want to be either of those people.
No.
You got to know what's going on in the business, but you got to understand what works and what doesn't work, because people fool themselves all the time to thinking that they have a great business when they're giving their time for free, or they're not accounting for things correctly, or they don't make margin. So they're just growing a bigger business that makes no money but has more stress. So I think you got to have both. You got to understand the detail nuance of the day-to-day of your business. It's true even and you talk about learning, restaurant business, I'm real nuanced.
Well, it's like the first time that maybe it was about 6 months after you opened the restaurants, and you were explaining to me, just like you said earlier, just because it's busy doesn't mean we're making money. There's some changes that we need to make, because top line looks really good at this one restaurant, but bottom line isn't where it needs to be. Like, we need to understand exactly what's going on here. So I think that was probably the lesson that you learned pretty early on. Like, this is things that we need to be paying attention to.
And not all businesses are worth working on.
Totally.
Some of them have just not enough opportunity, not enough depth.
Juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about technology. Obviously, we run a technology firm. You're a technology investor on the side. What are you guys using internally for technology? And then real estate as a whole, I would say it's more of a legacy industry, right? A lot of older types of antiquated things that are used. What is happening in today's day and age in real estate with technology?
Such a broad question.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
but you got to start with AI.
Yeah.
I it's so cliche, but it's the truth. So before AI, we were very focused on kind of cloud-based systems, data management.
Yeah.
We built our own proprietary CRM that integrates.
Internally, you guys did.
Yeah, so we don't have Salesforce where everyone's paying $1 million.
Crazy amounts.
A lot of amounts on a subscription service.
Yeah.
And they control and house your data.
Yeah.
We built our own system that's called Frankie. It's a database of people, property, and companies.
Nice.
There's an activity layer that connects all these things, and it allows us to know who our clients are. So if you and I sat here and played the name game, probably 1 million people that we don't know that each other knows.
Yes.
And for us to get to those people, it would take thousands of hours. Now, computers, when your database is in a system, I can immediately see that, Saxon emailed with Andrew yesterday, and I'm trying to call him. I didn't know that. And as you're in 7 different businesses and 11 different markets and expanding, that connectivity is the secret sauce. It's very important to be able to help develop relationships. Relationships are the oil of business. That if you tell me someone's good and you and I are close, then I have a huge leg up in that conversation. The opposite is true. If you tell me that guy's bad or girl's bad, then that person has an uphill battle, even if that's not a fair characterization. Yeah. So it's that relational understanding helps as an accelerant to a business that we're in. And so that's why we decided to just build our own, customize it for us. Now, fast forward, we have all this data. We've had it for 15 years, transitioning back to AI. Great, you have AI and you have ChatGPT. Well, unless you have a data system that's yours and you control,
data, you can't do anything.
And what can you do with it? But when you have that, now you just common language and you start entering projects. Give me all of the people who own apartments in Tampa that are named Saxon.
That's awesome.
Boom, it pulls it up, right? And to me,
So did you build like an integration with, call it OpenAI, that sits on top of Frankie?
Yeah, we're working through that now. Claude is what we're using.
Yeah.
And we use all of them for different things. So we use a lot of technology.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to start. Frankie's a big investment. It's our own internal. And all that investment in data and organization now pays tremendous dividends. What I was shocked by is that as soon as we exposed it and connected it, it understood our data schema in seconds. And it was able to Go look for all those things, understand the little nuance, and push out a pretty good answer.
Yeah.
Now, you have to work with it over time. It doesn't come out of the box perfect.
Oh, of course.
But
It's
its
a
starting
refinement,
point was
but-
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And so we're using Claude for that.
Got it.
On the research side, we have a million templates and a lot of forms that we've created. You just expose that to Perplexity and say, update it. 5 minutes, it gives you something, quotes 20 new sources. And again, you still need someone to come over and read it, make sure and verify.
Yeah,
and
the human in the
maybe
loop still exists.
Correct.
Yeah.
But the efficiency of that and the kind of the starting, the writer's block, if you will, that
Yeah.
kind of goes away by having that
Totally.
is incredible. We use a lot of bots and agents. So if you're texting, you used to text a sign and maybe they responded, maybe they didn't. Now it's programmed with the
guys
top
automated
100
that
questions.
whole thing.
How big is it? Does it have a grease trap? What is the traffic count? What is the signage included? What's the rent? What are the triple nets? Everything you can think of, you could sit there and
And have a
3 o'clock in the
conversation.
morning on New Year's Day and get the answers and the emails in a perfect way and teaches you. And a lot of the automation and marketing, a lot of what we do is if this, then this.
Yes.
And so you can
Yeah.
teach these various systems, and a lot of them, sometimes you're daisy chaining them together of how to respond and how to navigate. And so, email marketing campaigns, follow-ups and automations. Now you have to be careful that you're not, it dehumanizes things really, really quickly. And nothing turns me off more than when I'm like, do you really think
This is very clear that I'm
Right.
talking to an AI bot.
But there's a lot of things that don't take any time.
Yeah.
And then into document management. So you have how many files do you have over the 20 years? You used to have to know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
Now I get a Microsoft Copilot. Give me a landlord-friendly lease from my file. Boom.
Pulls it up
out in a
immediately.
second. Integrate this into that, but don't make it too harsh, your ability in Microsoft Copilot, which is advanced, really, really
Yeah.
quickly. On the data management side,
Totally.
we use it for a lot of that.
The NLP side, too, in terms of data management and what you're talking about of infrastructure layer, really, I think, is one of the most game-changing things because that's my mind specifically. I don't have a very technical mind, but for me to be able to write in natural language exactly what I'm thinking and then get that output that I'm looking for, that has changed my workflow and the workflow of ours every day.
I think I explained it to my wife this way, where so many websites, intranet systems or database systems, they have all these bells and whistles. And it does everything for you. And it's so overwhelming as a user interface that people just kind of freeze up. I don't like it, right?
Yeah.
Think about 2 of the most successful companies. Google. It just is
Type it in.
What do you want?
And I know
Type
where
what
you're
you want.
going with this next, too.
And then the iPhone, right?
Always talk about this.
These are like the
Talked
most
about
simple
this
things.
last week on our podcast. You want the most sophisticated system with the easiest use.
And AI is the pinnacle in my mind of that. And that's where you hear a lot of these entrepreneurs also then when you marry AI superintelligence
Yep.
with robotics,
Yeah.
then I can just sit here and say, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to get up. Go make me a cup of coffee. Go build me a car.
What about, this is
collect
interesting.
the rent.
What about building of buildings and building of homes and commercial and residential with bots? Have you seen that yet? Is that a technology that is out there yet?
Yes, it's out there. No, it's not prevalent.
Okay.
In some prefab situations, you can.
Yeah.
I do think it's going to more and more get into it.
Yeah.
I think where it's going to be the most impactful is on the soft costs. So if you've ever built anything, it's one of the most frustrating experiences you can ever imagine. And you don't know, right? You have the architect, you have an engineer, you have a contractor, you have inspectors, you have code, you have lawyers. And it's kind of one of these. They're like, you don't know who's, and it's always someone else's fault, right?
There's never
drawings
one
weren't
thread to
right,
choke.
the spec wasn't right, and whatever it is, but then you're sitting there and you have the bridge that doesn't meet, right?
Yeah.
And so I think AI provides an instantaneous double checking. It can look at all these documents and it can merge them all together. It can take. Even just now, you can go on free and have it design your room for you. Take a picture of the room. And it
We
designs
looked
it
at
for
a
you.
company that take a photo, put all your furniture in there in a virtual way, give you all the specs.
How much farther is it to have an architectural drawing done?
Yeah.
It's there. It exists.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where soft costs are going to go way down. On the actual hard costs, I don't think that the dexterity is there yet,
Yeah.
and certainly not at scale. So right now, if you're a plumber or electrician, those things are pretty well insulated, and I think will be
definitely.
for a while.
Yeah.
But all the services that lead up to that,
Yeah.
I think they're going to be positively, well, it depends on your perspective, but
Yeah.
positively impacted from a cost and efficiency standpoint.
Job creator,
Should-
job destroyer.
Yeah.
Which one?
Me
Yeah.
or AI?
No. AI, job creator, job destroyer.
I think it's hard to say. It's a over the long haul, it's a job destroyer. It's a transition that I don't even fully appreciate that anyone can really understand.
I don't think we can.
I mean, imagine being in the 1800s and explaining to them what the internet is.
Yep.
Or telephones, or video conferences.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, okay, it's fanciful.
Yeah.
And we are at the precipice of it changing everything that we know. Where I think there's a little bit of a moat, to use a term you had earlier, societally, we're not ready for that. We're not ready for that displacement.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be, even if the technology is there,
it's the slowing down.
There's like going to be a collar because you're not going to, even if you can, doesn't mean you will. If just as you can, doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
I mean, should we have invented the nuclear bomb? Probably not. I think AI is something similar. Even the top AI tech people in the world,
they tell you
they don't know what the future is.
No.
They don't know what they're getting themselves into. So we're building into a blind, realm. And ultimately, what I've witnessed is entry-level jobs, anything that is a reoccurring thing over and over and over again, those are all going to be the first things to be eliminated. I think the hardest thing is going to be for young people coming out to learn some of those kind of basic things.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of self-teaching. And when I talk to young people, my best advice to them is invest in relationships. I'll be able to get someone else to be able to do my underwriting for me in Excel.
Yep.
And change it in natural language. Move this up there, change this over here, add this data screen, but the person still owns the real estate.
Totally.
Right? People are still going into restaurants.
100%.
Focus on relationships and everything will be okay.
It's the soft skills, like you said. They're soft skills, but in my opinion, and I think it's how I've gotten to where I'm at today, it's the most important thing, right?
Absolutely. And the hard part is technology makes you less social.
I know. Well,
now you're like in your room by yourself talking to nobody,
Yep.
For 15 hours a day.
But that's
you're
why I
not
still
developing the
think-
most important skill.
But that's why I still think it is the most important thing, because that is table stakes now, right? Being able to go and have a conversation and close the deal and talk about and have that relationship, those are becoming less and less people have those skills. So it's even more and more important.
Well, you're asking about how we find people.
Yeah.
So on the young side, older, more seasoned people.
Yeah.
They're easy to find.
Yeah, of course.
You know where
look
they
at
are.
a resume,
you
know where they work. Great.
But young people starting out in their careers, we started something called the Accelerator Associate Program.
Okay.
Because everyone says the same thing, they want the same thing, but you don't know what you have until they show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we do them in cohorts or classes. And we'll hire 20 of them in a 60-day program. A lot of people want to be in real estate. Well, there's accountants in real estate. There's designers in real estate. There's tech people in real estate. There's salespeople in real estate. They get exposed to all the various aspects of our business over a 60-day period. And we get to evaluate them. And you know what? They're kind of auditioning. And so very quickly.
Try out.
Yeah. I don't like calling it that because they get value too. Maybe there's just
No,
maybe they're good.
Are they employees or
They're
is
employees.
it? Okay.
Yeah, they're employees for a 60-day period.
Okay.
And then we either place them or they move on. But what we're looking for are people who have the soft skills.
Yeah.
They have to have the price of entry, table stakes as you called it. They got to work hard. They got to show up on time. They got to take themselves seriously. They got to act professionally. But the skills that we're really looking for are those soft skills and their ability to communicate and be part of a team and a group. And it's important to our internal culture and how we interact with each other. But more importantly, it's important to their career going forward in an AI age. You cannot AI out relationships, at least not yet.
How many people out of the, what'd you say, 60, 30 that come in per cohort?
It changes, but they're more like 20.
Okay. What percentage
About half.
get hired? Half?
About half.
It's really cool. I like that.
There we go. It's if someone's good, we're going to find a
You're going
place
to
for 'em.
find someone.
We're going to find a place.
Okay.
for 'em.
That's another question. We should wrap up after that because we're up on time. But when you look at hiring people, do you look more for somebody that can solve a specific problem and be in that specific role that you're looking for? Or are you trying to hire the smartest and most well-rounded person and then you kind of figure it out from there?
I try to find someone who's ambitious,
Okay.
Who's smart, who's coachable. It's a static moment wherever they are.
Yeah.
I'm not hiring from where they are. I'm hiring from where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to grow them and develop them into something larger than that. And sometimes people who think they know it all or have a lot of experience, old dog, new tricks, or I should be doing your job or whatever it is. And maybe they should, but the way to get there is not kind of in that static moment. Now, sometimes is there, if we're trying to hire a project manager to build high rises, there's some technical skill that's needed. If you're trying to hire someone in the insurance business, you got to have someone that has a little bit more technical experience. But as a broad statement, you can teach those. And to our conversation earlier, a lot of those nuanced skills are going to go away. What I'm really looking for, someone who gets there early,
Drive,
drive.
ambition.
They want to go do something with their life.
Totally.
They're not waiting for me to do something for them. They're
Yeah.
waiting to go do something for themselves.
Yeah. Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Andrew, thank you so much. As always, it was so good to see you. If you enjoyed today's episode, throw us a like or a follow on YouTube or Instagram. And thank you all for being here.